up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass, and like and subscribe. So, days like these, I really do appreciate people like Pete Hines from Bethesda, and how, he's gonna just come through and, correct some of these donkey unicorns and these ponies, regardless of where they come from and what they've done. For instance, there's this pony, Donkey Unicorn ex-dev. I don't even know if he's a dev anymore. I guess he made the old school World of Warcraft, or he was a designer in it. Old school Warcraft, not World of Warcraft. Anyway, his name is Grums. Anyway, this is his tweet. The physiognomy of start screens. Physiognomy is a fancy word for the kind of makeup, what something's made of, basically. And so he says, the start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work. Starfield's start screen either shows how hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked, or a team that didn't care. Now, your boy Pete was not having it, because I don't think these ponies and donkey unicorns realize that there are people here that will smack back, that will clap back, that will slap you silly when you're talking nonsense. This is what Pete Hines said. Or they designed what they had wanted, and that's been our menu for years and was one of the first things we settled on. Having an opinion is one thing. Questioning out a developer's care because you would have done it differently is highly unprofessional coming from another dev. Now, that's cold. That's cold for Pete Hines and one of the biggest devs, one of the biggest studios on the planet, highly acclaimed for their work over the years, to clap back on somebody who claims to be a dev. Sure, he was. I'm not gonna say that this person wasn't, but when you talk shite, you see what happens. This dude got clapped by the man himself. Not Pete, not Howard, not Todd Howard. Todd Howard's busy, making sure that the game is nice and everything is cool for how he wanted it, right? Pete Hines is like, he's sitting there like this. He's watching the crowd, and he's quick to clap back. And that one tweet, kind of destroyed this dude. Now, I looked at some of the other tweets that the dude, Grums is, whatever his name is, that he's doing, and he's a clown, basically. And so, if you look at his timeline and anything that is associated regarding this tweet, this whole start screen tweet, you'll see that he's milking it. He's making light of it and all that stuff, and he's making fun of it and all that stuff. And I get that, but his original tweet and why Pete Hines was justified in what he said, he's literally dissing the studio. He's saying, oh, they're overworked, and so they're overworked or they don't care. And I'm like, that's not it, And Andrea Pacalacalini, whatever her name is, she put up the title screens for all their games, all the Bethesda games. Literally exactly the same as Starfield. They're the same. That's how they do their start screens. If you did some research, Grums, then you would know this. I thought you were a good dev or a smart dev, but this recent events means that you don't really do your due diligence, and you're just talking out your ass. I do that because I don't do any due diligence. I just talk. But that's me. I'm not like a world-renowned dev from a world-renowned old IP, OG Warcraft. That's not me. That's you. And that's you making a fool of yourself. And then that's Pete Hines slapping you down to the ground. And you're like, ugh. But now you're trying to make jokes to make it seem like it didn't affect you, but it did affect you because you're still OG Warcraft, man. And he's Pete Hines about to launch one of the biggest games in recent history. And it is being claimed as Game of the Generation. Not even your game was Game of the Generation. It took World of Warcraft to make Warcraft super huge. Warcraft, I'm sure, is a great game, but I'm not into RTSs like that. But World of Warcraft, that's different. So, you know, whatever. I mean, was he World of Warcraft? I don't even know anymore. Maybe he was. But doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because World of Warcraft, while it still probably has a user base and stuff, is it the biggest MMO right now? I don't know. That's a good question. You know, that's a question that Grum should ask himself. And he's not working there anymore, I don't think. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I just thought it was hilarious. And while this console war has been happening, right? It's mainly been fanboys, you know, on both sides. Fanboys, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whether you're trying to get clicks on your site or get more followers, that's the motivation is there, right? But when a former dev talks out their face and Pete Hines comes to put that boot in his neck, now it's getting interesting. Now it has elevated. The console war has elevated because people like Grums decides to talk out their ass. I super enjoy this because this is a whole nother level of console warring. And when you bring in the professionals, the people who are actually making the games and actually have a modicum of common sense, words, when that happens and you're like, wow, ugh, you know, and when it's not full of like propaganda or kind of marketing speak like, oh yeah, you need the power of the PlayStation 5 to do this game, and then it's a lie, you know. It's like, oh, well, some of these people in the industry are full of shite, and some will put their boot in your neck when you talk shite. That's how it works. It's super interesting. It's super entertaining for the most part. And nothing is stopping Starfield. That's the bottom line. The freight train, the runaway train of Starfield is almost at full speed right now. It is 10 days to launch. I mean, no, it's 10 days to the review embargo's up, 11 days to launch. I'm about to get the super $32 pre-order joint so I can get that extra stuff so I can play it on the first. Man, it's just, there's only a few instances in video games where this happens, where there's a game of a generation, possibly of the game of all games, you know, basically of up until this point, the game of games, if you will. And we're witnessing it live right now. We're witnessing how the ponies and the donkey unicorns can't handle the fact. They can't handle the fact that it's just crazy, and they wanted it to be PlayStation. They wanted it to be on their side, and it's not, because Sony was playing. Sony's playing big at the big boy table, and they ran out of chips. And Microsoft said, "Brat, let's buy it all." That's what you get. Look, Microsoft didn't start this. Microsoft didn't say, "Yeah, we're gonna do." You know, they were playing a certain way. You know, they were being conservative with their monies and stuff. And Sony decided to try to destroy Microsoft. And that doesn't you can't do that to a giant corporation when you're not as big. You can't, it's not, no. That's not how it works. And so they're finding out the hard way that, oh, oops, you know, they have their cachet, they have their PlayStation-ness, but here's the thing. And I don't think they realize this, but it happened before. PlayStation 1 hit out the gate. PlayStation 2 hit out the gate. Both of them didn't have that much competition because they were so much better, quote unquote better, right? except for the Dreamcast, but they killed the Dreamcast. They tried to do the same thing to Xbox right about now, but it failed because Xbox is way bigger than everybody. So you can't kill Xbox. If Xbox decides to die, it's because they're gonna kill it themselves, not because Sony or any other outside party will. And now, Sony and PlayStation, they're forgetting what happened at the PlayStation 3 generation, when they were all high and mighty, all full of hubris. And they made mistakes, and they stumbled, and they got knocked back. They're so lucky that Xbox wasn't the Xbox that is today, to now, with the money backing, because if they were, Sony would be done. Sony would have been done. But now, Xbox is a different beast. And Sony's trying to play that same game. They're trying to do the same things that have always worked, but it's not gonna work anymore. So they're scrambling to figure out, how do we fight this? We don't have enough money. They admitted that they don't have enough money to fight how Xbox fights. So how can they win? They can't. It's only a matter of time before they are not gonna win. If they don't make games that blow up the spot, that make them the money, which they have been lacking for a while. That's why they had the result. They had to rely on Call of Duty money. It's not their game. So yeah. It looks like dark days for Sony. But anyway, appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about this Grums fella. Talking about start screens. He don't know what he's talking about. He's a clown, as Jez said. And yeah, let me know about what you think about these devs and these higher ups in the video game space talking shite about, taking sides basically in console wars, which is kind of asinine, but whatever. It's like, you could look at me at the same way because I am on a dev team, but I'm not against PlayStation. I'm against the practices of Sony, the anti-video game practices of Sony. That's my problem, okay? So anybody come at me with some this and that and the third, remember that. Anyway, preach, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Till the Wade.